Lemax has unveiled their 2022 Spooky Town display collection. Let's take a peek. For everything scary, I'm GMHaunts, and for all of my Lemax Spooky Town fans out there, this is the video for you. Lemax has unveiled their entire 2022 Spooky Town collection, and there are some really cool pieces this year. If you're unfamiliar, Lemax every single year creates their Spooky Town display pieces. Basically what it is miniature models of buildings and characters that are either zombies, witches, pumpkins, anything Halloween related, that are basically miniature buildings, and you can create your own little kind of scenes and cities in your room, or really wherever you would like to create miniature cities that are very spooky. Now, this year's set of Spooky Town contains some really cool pieces, and I'm going to talk about my favorites in this video. Now, I'm not going to talk about every single building that was released for Spooky Town 2022 in this video, just because there's a good amount of them. For this video, I'm only going to be talking about the ones that are my favorite. I feel like some of them, they're not bad, but I feel like some of them are just kind of basic and plain. In this video, I'm just going to talk about my favorites and the ones that I feel stand out the most from the entire Spooky Town lineup. I'm also not going to be taking a look at any of the miniature characters that were released for Spooky Town 2022. If you would like me to see, either take a look at the other buildings that I'm not going to look at in this video, or the miniature characters that I'm not going to look at in this video, let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll do a part 2 to this video and take a look at the rest of the Spooky Town collection that I didn't take a look at in this video. But I guess for this video, let's take a look at my favorite building models from Spooky Town 2022. Alrighty, so kicking it off with what is probably my favorite building from the entire Spooky Town 2022 collection, and this is the Mummy Mortuary. Now, I really love this piece. This is such an awesome and a really detailed one, and actually, it doesn't even do that much. It's probably one of the least active ones in the entire collection, but at the same time, it's probably my favorite. So the only kind of motion or animation, or whatever you want to call it, and it's not even an animation, that this building does is it only lights up. As we'll go through my list of my favorites here, you're going to see that a lot of the other buildings actually do stuff. This one does not, however, all it does is light up. But really the reason I love it so much is the whole idea behind it and also the look that it has. Obviously, this is supposed to be a mortuary for mummies. That's where the clever naming comes from Mummy Mortuary. Really enjoy it. I mean, I love the detailing. That giant skull with the pharaoh mask, or the pharaoh kind of top, looks really awesome on the top of the building. The whole building design looks really good. And even though it's kind of got that Egyptian theme to it, it still remains on the same theme as a building and something that you could put in a spooky town, just as like a city. It still stays on theme, while at the same time having its own flair to it. That skull at the top is really the main thing that goes with this building. It's the thing that you see first, and it's the thing that kind of leads the design of this whole Mummy Mortuary. I really love the caskets that are kind of towards the bottom. You got some mummies down there. You also have some half-body mummies that are by the kind of like columns by the front door. You have a little window right by the door that you can see a mummy on the inside. I always love when they do stuff like that, the extra details, when you can actually see what's going on inside of the building. That's always really cool, and it adds a sort of realisticness to it, which is always a really cool thing to see because it just adds more detail to what's already on the outside of the building. I really like the entrance sign that says "That's a Wrap, Mummy Mortuary." That's really awesome. You kind of have some kind of angel thing that looks like a mummy on top of that sign, which I think is cool. And overall, like I said, I just really enjoy this one because it stays on track with being able to fit in a city theme, or I should say, what the other Spooky Town buildings look like. It looks like an ordinary building, while at the same time it has its own flair with the whole mummy theming going on and the ancient Egyptian thing. Really enjoy that, and I really do enjoy that skull that's at the top. It has an awesome sculpt to it, and I think the pharaoh like aspect to it is also really awesome with the snake on the top of the head. Really love that, and it also looks great with the black roofing where it matches with the yellow and black color scheme all the way to the top of the building. Really awesome piece. This is definitely one of my favorites from the entire Spooky Town 2022 lineup, and I just think the detailing on this one is awesome. The whole idea and the naming is really clever, and I applaud Spooky Town for coming up with the Mummy Mortuary. Let's take a look at the next Spooky Town 2022 building. So this next one is very close, in my opinion, to the Mummy Mortuary, as in how much I enjoy it, and this is the last ditch gas and salvage piece. What can I even say about this one? I mean, this one is incredible in every single way. The amount of stuff going on in this piece is really, really impressive, so I'll try to break it down as much as I can. Towards the bottom and kind of ground level of this piece, you have two gas pumps, both with ram's heads on top of them like skulls. One of them says out of order and kind of has some stuff wrapped around it. The other one says use at your own risk. Next to that, you have a kind of mechanic door. It says mechanic on it with like a wooden sign, and it's got a very creepy looking zombie mechanic standing in front of the door. There's so much writing going on in this piece. I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy it so much. There's a lot of little labels and stuff saying what stuff is supposed to mean and what it's supposed to represent. I always love that. Always just adds another kind of flair of detail. Then the main entrance or the main sign on this building says last ditch exclamation mark, and it kind of has an anarchy sign for the A. I think that looks really awesome. You have a tombstone on it that says that's actually supposed to have the gas price. It says today's price, gallon, arm, leg, and I can't make out that last thing. It says first something, or well, basically it's saying an arm and a leg for a gallon of gas. I think that's really awesome. And then towards the top, you have even more stuff going on. It seems to be that you have a bunch of flames. You have two zombies with kind of flamethrowers shooting flames out. Now, I do want to mention that the flames actually light up LEDs, and they kind of blink, making it look like real fire. Really, really love that. That's an awesome use of LEDs, and I think it's used really, really well on this piece. Then, all the way towards the top, you have another sign that says last ditch gas. Recharge an arm and a leg. Really, really love that. Obviously, an arm and a leg is a phrase. Fits well with the zombie and Halloween theme going on with this piece. You also have an arm kind of pointing down to the gas station. You kind of have a like gas tank also on the top, also shooting out fire behind these zombies with the flamethrowers. And then in front of all of that, you have a kind of zombie sculpt going on here with a kind of biohazard gas mask. I think that looks awesome. He has two flamethrowers that he's holding in his hands. That looks really cool, and of course they do light up just like all of the other flames. So every single flame in this piece does light up, and they all look awesome with that blinking effect. The other thing on the other side from the mechanic, you also have something that says restroom and cashier. You kind of have a skeleton in front of the restroom, and then you have a where it says cashier, you kind of have some bars and a skeleton behind all that. Overall, this is such a fantastic piece. There's so much detail in it, and honestly, this might be also my favorite, tied for my favorite with the Mummy Mortuary. This and the Mummy Mortuary, I feel like, are just so awesome. These are definitely ahead of the other ones on my list. I love the Last Ditch Gas and Salvage. This is a fantastic piece. So much is going on it. The LEDs are really they're well done with the flames. They look really awesome. And again, I just can't stress the amount that's going on in this piece is really awesome. If you were to see this in person, I would just be admiring it for the amount that's going on. There's so much to look at, so much to read by the labeling, and it's such an awesome idea. I always love creepy gas stations, so naturally Last Ditch Gas was one of my favorites from Spooky Town for the 2022 season. So much is going on. The LEDs are used perfectly, and this is just an incredible piece from Spooky Town. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at this next piece from Spooky Town's 2022 collection. So this next one is the first animated piece on my list, and this is the Isle of Creepy Jacks. Now again, this is just another really, really detailed one, and one that I really enjoy. So there's a couple really cool things going on in this piece. The animation is actually up by the top part of it. There's a very creepy monster looking tree holding two pumpkins in its hands, and then there's two pumpkin people on each side of the tree. The animation is that the pumpkin people actually revolve around it with a mechanism, so they kind of look like they're like walking around the tree. Not the most flashy animation or the most kind of jumpy thing, but it is cool, and it's a cool detail that's in it. Then the thing that I enjoy even more than that, and this is not really an animation, more of a feature, that you can actually connect it to a fog machine, and fog pours out of the mouth of the big pumpkin that's here. It has such an awesome look in the video. I love how the fog looks and how the fog slowly rolls out from the pumpkin's eyes, nose, and mouth. Really, really awesome look, and it fits great with the theming of an island here. Obviously, the name of this piece is the Isle of Creepy Jacks, otherwise known as just an island. Really, really awesome piece. There's so much going on with it. I love that by the front of it, you kind of have a sign that reads the Isle of Creepy Jacks. You have a sort of boardwalk looking thing with some water. You also have like a wooden boat holding a couple pumpkins in it. Up by the boardwalk, you have what seems to be an outhouse, and then you have a mountain kind of looking structure where the pumpkin people are revolving around the tree. The main focus of this aisle of Creepy Jacks is the big pumpkin with the fog coming out. Really, really awesome, and I love the entire theming of pumpkins around this. Obviously, this is meant to be kind of a pumpkin island, so that's why you see so many pumpkins. You've got pumpkin people, a tree holding pumpkins, a giant pumpkin, and a bunch of pumpkins just around. Count how many times I said pumpkin and leave it down in the comments below. But other than that, you have a bunch of rocks, you have some vines, some plants growing. It's not, I mean, there is a lot going on with this, and the details are really, really awesome. I feel like the fog is what makes me enjoy this piece so much. If you were to see this in person, it would just look absolutely incredible with the fog pouring out of the pumpkin's mouth. It also has some lights going on, I should mention. So even in the dark, this will be illuminated with the fog. You'll be able to see it really, really well because it has its own LEDs and its own lighting to illuminate the features of it that are going on. This is an awesome piece. Definitely another one of my favorites from Spooky Town 2022. The Isle of Creepy Jacks is really, really awesome. Like I mentioned, just so much detail. The fog makes it so incredible, and the lighting also adds to the aesthetic of this pumpkin island. Let me show you my next favorite Spooky Town 2022 piece. So this piece, I know, has been getting a ton of praise from the Lemax Spooky Town community, and a lot of people, and rightfully so, because this is an awesome piece. This is the Count's Bat Bonanza. This one is, again, just incredibly awesome. This one is animated and has a lot of different movements. What this is meant to be is kind of a theme park ride that is hosted by Count Dracula himself. It is basically one of those rides where there's like a bunch of swings that go up and down, but of course instead of swings, it is actually bats because it's supposed to be, again, Count Dracula's ride. Now the animations that this piece features are the actual rides. They revolve around a centerpiece and then they go up and down, which creates the illusion that the ride is actually moving, that the bats are kind of flying. Really, really awesome animation, and it's one of the best that we've seen on any animated piece from Lemax Spooky Town. Then the second animation that this piece featured is Dracula himself. He kind of just spins around on the top building part that he's standing on. So he kind of is like looking at you and then spins around, basically looking like he's observing the entire ride. He just revolves in a circle, and at a pretty fast speed. It's not that slow, so he actually moves around pretty quick. Really awesome animation for this piece. But let's also talk about the detailing. The ride itself is just an awesome idea and a really fantastic concept. I love the idea that Count Dracula would have a theme park ride, and it really comes out and really has some cool realisticness in this piece. I love how it kind of looks like it's built into the side of a mountain, with the back of it having a sort of rock feel and texture to it. That's awesome. It really does look like it's like built into a mountain, and I love that. I also love how the Count's Bat Bonanza sign is built into the rock. Again, like I just mentioned, I love that it looks like it's built into a mountain, and the sign looks incredible at an elevated spot so that you can actually see it behind the entire ride itself. Awesome, and I really love the design choice for that. As for the front of the ride, you have a sign that says entrance, and then you have a bunch of stuff thrown around on the front. You kind of have a bunch of skulls, you have a bunch of LED lights that light up the piece as well to go with the animation. The detailing on the bats is awesome. I love they're purple. Really, really awesome color choice for them, and it makes them stand out. The people that are on the bats also are really awesome. They seem to look like kind of trick-or-treaters. One looks like a mummy. You got some different costumes going on. I'm trying to look at what they are. One seems to be like a jester outfit with its hand sticking out. Really, really love the outfits that are on the trick-or-treaters riding on the ride. That's really awesome. And I just, overall, this is such a fantastic piece. I know a lot of people have been saying this is their favorite of the year. It is really awesome. The only thing that I would say I don't like about it is the audio. The audio is a little bit cheesy because it's Dracula talking, and he says things like, "Welcome to the Count's Bat Bonanza." I don't really love that he's saying the name of the piece in the audio. I feel like this would be much better without the audio at all. I feel like the animation and the lights suit the piece a lot more than the audio does. It's an awesome piece by itself, and the audio could be cut and it would still be absolutely incredible. The audio is not what we're talking about here. The audio is not really what makes it so incredible. It's the entire look and design and animation. So I feel like the audio could just be cut completely because it's a little bit corny, it's a little bit cheesy, and the look of it is absolutely the opposite of that. So I feel like the audio, if anything, just brings it down a little bit. But this is just an incredible piece overall. The Count's Bat Bonanza is also a fantastic name. Shout out to Spooky Town and Lemax, Lemax I should say, for coming up with the name. It's a really fantastic and incredible, clever name to name this piece. But overall, the Count's Bat Bonanza has some really cool things going on with it, including the animation, the LED, and just the overall concept to it. Such an incredible piece from Lemax's Spooky Town 2022, and there's just so much going on with it. let's take a look at one of my next favorite pieces from Lemax Spooky Town 2022. So this next one is yet again a not animated piece. This is only an LED lighted up building, and this is the B.A. Afraid Clocksmith. Now, to be completely honest with you, I'm not sure why I enjoy this one so much. I just feel like the aesthetic to it is really, really awesome. This is meant to be kind of a clocksmith, and then towards the top you actually have a clock. Now, when I first looked at the pictures, I thought that the clock would actually be animated and it would move as if time was moving. It does not, as far as I understand from the description. The only thing this building does is light up, but nonetheless, this is still really awesome. I love the kind of brick texture that the top of the building has. It looks really awesome. Down by the floor level where you actually have the clocksmith, again, you can kind of look in the window and see the clocksmith working, and you actually see that he's a skeleton. Very, very cool kind of like design choice there. Like I mentioned before, I absolutely love when there's windows in these buildings. It's always such a cool thing when there's more detail that's actually inside of the building, not just on the outside. It just feels like it makes it feel more realistic and feel like there's more going on with the piece. So I obviously, naturally, I love that you can actually see in the clocksmith building and see the clocksmith working. You have a lot of detail on the outside of the building, including some signs by the floor level, and you also have a smaller clock that's kind of hanging off the building. I love the way that looks. The skull giant clock that's printed onto it looks really, really awesome. You have two skeletons side by side on the big clock, and then all the way by the top you kind of have a skeleton-looking bird that pops that is meant to look like it would pop out of the building when the time changes. That's an awesome look. Like I mentioned, I'm not really sure why I enjoy this one so much. There's not a ton going on. It's just a clocksmith. But I do love the way the LED looks. It makes it look like it's a real building that has lights on the inside. The whole aesthetic to it is really, really cool. I love that you can see inside the building through the window. The clocksmith is really, really creepy that he is a skeleton, and I just feel like the paint job on this one, the detailing and all of it is really cool. Like I just mentioned, the paint job I feel like is what makes it so cool for me. I love that the building is kind of all dark colors and not bright. That dark gray, dark feel to it makes it cooler. And also I love that B.A. Afraid Clocksmith sign. Really, really cool, retro looking. I love the font choice for it, and I love the colors of it. This whole dark aesthetic and the skeleton on the inside, really awesome. And I feel like the clocksmith building is another one of my favorites from this year, just because it's very dark looking, and even though it doesn't really do much and only lights up, I just love the aesthetic to it, and it is a very cool piece in my opinion. Let me show you my next favorite Spooky Town 2022 building. Alrighty, so next up we have Dr. Gorys Laboratory. Now, once again, this is not an animated one. This is only LED light-up building. There is no animation or movements that go on with this piece, but this one is still very, very awesome. This is basically a laboratory building with a ton of kind of science experiments and weird stuff going on the outside of the building. First off, all the way by the top, you have a container that's connected to what seems to be a kind of like gas pump looking thing that has a brain in it. That's really awesome. I love the way the brain looks, and it's actually like a very big brain, which is kind of funny, and I love the way that looks. You also have a ton of containers, very similar to the one holding the brain, that seem to have some liquid in there that light up when you plug it in. Really, really love how that looks, because it actually is designed to look like there's bubbles. Really makes it have the illusion that there's liquid going on inside of the tubes. That's really awesome, and I always love to see little detailing like that. In front of the building, or all the way in the front, you have a sign that says Dr. Gorys Laboratory. You have a biohazard sign. You have something that looks to be a siren, and then you have Dr. Gory himself standing in front of the door. Around the building, you have some even more details. You have a few containers that have the biohazard signs, like some barrels that look like they're made out of metal. You have some more containers with like piping that's coming out of the building, and then you also have some crates and some storage bins around on the side of the building with another wooden door. Again, I just love the amount of detailing that's in this building. The texturing on it is really cool, because all the way on the front level, you have like a purple color, then you have like a more like tan color, and a dark blue on the side of the building. There's a lot of different colors that make up the texturing for the outside bricks, and I always love that. There's a lot of different colors going on. The LEDs look really, really cool with the blinking biohazard tubes. You have some sirens, like I mentioned. All the building lights up, basically, and I feel like everything that should light up does indeed light up, and I feel like Spooky Town and Lemax did a really great job. Lemax, I should say, did a great job picking what to have LEDs for this building. The siren looks really good. The brain is illuminated. All those tubes that I mentioned, really, really cool. And in the dark, this building would look very, very awesome. Dr. Gory looks really awesome himself. He seems to be a kind of mix of a zombie and a skeleton. I love how he looks. That's a really awesome design character. Now, I also do want to mention that the kind of, I don't even really know what to call them, but the fortune teller ball looking things that are all the way at the top that are always meant to represent like an electrical thing in a laboratory, those also light up and kind of blink to look like there's electricity. That's really awesome. In the dark, I mean, that would look really incredible like they show off in the video. But overall, Dr. Gorys Laboratory is another one of my favorites just because there's a lot going on, and the use of LEDs is one of the best on this piece than it is in any other piece. They did a great job illuminating the stuff that should be illuminated, and I feel like the LEDs really make this piece pop, and the coloring and the design of this one is really, really awesome, and I love the layout of it. Detailing of Dr. Gorys Laboratory make it another one of my favorites from Spooky Town 2022. Let's take a look at the next building model. So this next piece is another just absolutely incredible and awesome one, and this is the Horrid Haunted Hotel. Absolutely love this one, and this one has a ridiculous amount of animations going on with it. So I guess I'll start all the way from the top of the building. On the left side of the top of the building, you have an hourglass that has a purple LED. The hourglass actually kind of like revolves in like a axle that makes it go up and down and kind of like spin over. That's a really awesome look. That's the first animation. Then directly opposite of it, on the right side of the top building, you have a padlock, and a key in the padlock actually turns to make it look like it's about to unlock. That's an awesome animation. Then towards the middle of the building, through the window, which is an awesome design choice. I love that you can see through the giant window that's in the middle of the building. There's actually seems to be people that are running up the stairs. That's a fantastic animation. Love the way that looks, and it's really, really funny because as you can see it through the window, and I love how it has a kind of the window is printed to look like something like broke it. I really love that. That's how you can tell that it's a window. Awesome design choice from Lemax. It really reads well and it looks awesome. Then towards the very ground level, you have the last animation, and this might be the best one. This is actually meant to look like the Grim Reaper chasing people through the hotel. Now, the way this animation works is it kind of is revolving in a circle. So the one half of the circle is the outside of the building that a person can see if you're looking at this piece. Then it goes into the building, which is where the other half of the motor is, and then it kind of just repeats going in and out of the building. That looks absolutely so cool. I love how the Grim Reaper is chasing people through the hotel. Such an awesome piece. Now let's take a look at the actual detail. The detailing on this building is just absolutely incredible. The hourglass looks really cool with the purple LED. Obviously, there's a ton of LEDs going on around the building as well. You can also see through multiple different windows. My favorite window is that middle one, where you can see the people running up the stairs. I love the way that looks because it's right center. It's right front and center of the building, and then you can kind of see like a broken spot in the glass. That looks really, really cool, and like I mentioned, it reads well, really well to anyone looking at the model that's a broken piece of glass. I love the size of the window, and I love that it's front and center of the building. Then towards the left of that window, you have another window that you can kind of see into the building, where there kind of seems to be like a shadow figure with an LED to make it look like there's a light turned on in the hotel. Really love the look of that. Like I mentioned, towards the ground level where you can see the Grim Reaper chasing the people, you have a sign that reads the Horrid Haunted Hotel, which is the name of this piece. You got some LEDs around where the Grim Reaper chases the people as well. You have a few green LEDs and a few purple LEDs, which I think are awesome choices. Green and purple LEDs are awesome to go with this piece. I feel like they just match really well with a hotel. Purple and green, in my mind, like kind of haunted colors. So I love how that looks. It reads really well with the whole piece. I love the character design of this piece as well. You have a Grim Reaper all the way to the top of the building holding like an axe, it seems to be, with a blue robe. I love the way that looks. And then, like I mentioned, the Grim Reaper that chases the people throughout the building seems to be in a black robe. So you kind of have two different Grim Reapers in this piece. I love the look of the people as well. They're really detailed and they look really funny. The people that are getting chased by the Grim Reaper all the way by the bottom, one of them is holding a suitcase and kind of looking back. I love the way that looks. Just the detailing of the people in this piece is really awesome, and I love the way they designed them. Like I mentioned, the whole just building design is really cool. The padlock is awesome. The hourglass is really cool, and the Grim Reaper aspect to it is awesome, especially with that glass breaking. That glass is probably my favorite design piece of this entire Horrid Haunted Hotel piece. Again, like I mentioned with the Bat Bonanza thing, the only thing I don't like about this piece is the audio. I just think, again, it kind of is one of the things that makes it a little bit worse. The audio is just kind of cheesy and it doesn't fit in with the rest of the look. This would be a lot better just with either like creaking sounds, or if you don't want to do audio at all, that would even be better. The animation itself is cool. You don't need any audio to go with it, and if you do want audio, just making like creaking sounds or screaming, that would make it a lot better than the talking audio that we get with this piece. But I mean, other than that, the detailing of it, the entire look, the idea of a hotel, the Grim Reapers, everything about it, this is such a fantastic piece. The LEDs really add to the piece of it, and I feel like that, again, I've said it multiple times at this point, but the broken glass is just so awesome to me, and I love how it looks like the people are running up the stairs. So much is going on with this piece, and this is another one where if you're just standing in front of it, you're just going to want to admire it because of the amount that's going on with the LEDs and the animation. The Horrid Haunted Hotel is another fantastic piece in my opinion, one of my favorites from Lemax Spooky Town 2022. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going for my video, taking a look at and reacting to some of my favorite pieces from Lemax Spooky Town 2022 collection. Please let me know in the comments down below if you would like me to take a look at the rest of the Spooky Town buildings. Like I mentioned in the beginning, the only reason I didn't look at them in this video is because I picked these out for a specific reason. These are my favorites, and I feel like these are the ones that stand out the most. The other ones, in my opinion, were just a little bit plain, but if you would still like me to take a look at them, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you would like me to take a look at just the miniature characters that were made for Lemax Spooky Town 2022, also let me know, because maybe I'll make a part 2 taking a look at either just the characters or the characters and the buildings that I didn't take a look at in this video. Overall, from these pieces, like I mentioned, these are my favorite from Spooky Town 2022. I feel like Lemax did a fantastic job this year with their Spooky Town collection. They all look really, really awesome. And just the detailing, animation, and use of LEDs is incredible this year. And I applaud Lemax so much for putting together an awesome Spooky Town collection for the 2022 season. Ladies and gentlemen, remember as always, for everything scary, I'm GMHaunts. I'll see you guys later for more Halloween 2022 videos. Goodbye.